Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Eva from Bohemian Crafting. I have a request from one of my amazing Patreons, and thank you so much guys for being here with me and supporting me all that way through to that very strange journey from last year with all those appointments and things. So thank you so much guys. Without you I wouldn't be able to continue because it was just too much. So anyway, I do have request from one of my Patreons to create some journal with no specialty tools, which means no stamps, no sewing machine, no embossing, no cutting dies, nothing like crafter thingy, no distress ink or any kind of inks, only something what even total beginner who just found this amazing craft can do. So I was thinking so hard how I did started those 10 years ago, 11 years, 10 years ago. And I do remember I had few envelopes at home. So I do have here, we can have all kind of envelopes, right? I do have here just 3 types of envelopes. You can have maybe something like this, or maybe DL envelopes, or maybe smaller envelopes like letter envelopes, or maybe coin envelopes. There is so many envelopes you can possibly have. If you do have old mail envelopes, just use those because they are perfect for making junk journal. Maybe you do have cards. So I just want to show you what kind of cards you can have. Maybe you do have some other games where there are all kind of this craft thingies. Maybe you do have doilies. So doilies are perfect decoration in your journals. Any kind of old cards, any kind of old boxes, folders, they are perfect for creating magics for our journals, for creating covers, tags inside, closures, and then are books. Obviously, books are perfect for creating junk journal. And today I'm gonna be using this book, and I'm gonna create a journal from this with hardcover. This book is soft cover book. I love the image of that book cover, so I wanna use that book cover as a book cover again, but I want to make it harder. I want to make hard book cover, and I want to use this inside to create a journal. I have here all kind of tea dyed and coffee dyed envelopes, different styles, different sizes, but they are beautifully vintage. I also bring baking paper. Baking paper can be amazing addition to your journal because it does have beautiful color. The sound is awesome, and it's semi-transparent, which is really good effect in the journals. So don't forget something like this. Very cheap, and most of the ladies who are cooking or baking, they do have stuff like this in their home. I'm gonna get up my book, and first what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna separate the cover from the book block. I'm gonna be using that book block in my journal, but not with all these pages. I'm gonna take a ruler, and with that ruler I'm gonna take that ruler like my help, and with that ruler I'm gonna start to rip off some book pages, and I'm gonna take the text as my navigation. And I will always leave some book pages in, and then take more actually out, just because I will have lots of stuff which I want to put inside. Now after some time of ripping off the pages, you will end up with something what looks like this, where there you have a full spine holding all together. You do have some book pages, and then you do have plenty of space, plenty of little pieces where you can glue your new images, pockets, maybe decorative papers. What I try to keep in my book is a page where I can still see blank space for blank spot for writing. So these I try to keep inside, and everything else I just ripped off. Here I forgot something. I could have ripped off this one and this one, but these I wanna keep inside of my book just because, you know, there is still space where I can write. And I don't have to be scared that my book block will fall apart because these little pieces are still together with all that rest. And as you can see, I do have plenty of book pages to play with, to create pockets, to cut the words or maybe some little poems and the words which I can use in my new journal. I do have prepared this, and as requested, I'm gonna create a journal with no stamping, no embossing. I will use just my stuff which I do have here. You can use any kind of magazines to fill your pages. You can use maybe old postcards. If you do have old postcards, these could be a really beautiful addition to your journal. You can just glue them on that spot and you will have really beautiful decoration. As you can see, I speeded up a little bit the video because there is a lot of things which I would like to try in this journal, as I can't use any fancy stuff like fancy tools. I will try to go back in memories what I actually did with my first journals I have created, and the process was really amazing. What I found lately, that sometimes a lot of stuff, lots of fancy tool, it's kind of taken the fun of the creating, if that makes sense. Like I don't try harder to find some creative process. So this request, which came kind of unexpectedly, and I I tried to avoid it for a few weeks. It's actually good for creativity. You have to think harder what you will add to your journals, and it's kind of make your brain work more creative, I believe. So as you saw, I did add a piece of that baking paper. I used double-sided tape and I glue it to that offcut from ripping of the pages. And then I glued on next one, on the next this offcut or leftover, I glued the postcard which I showed you, and I'm gonna be adding also small envelopes and envelopes which I am creating from book pages. So here you can really enjoy basic creativity with no fancy tools, no distress inks. This is really proper basic creation. You can doodle your unique decorative edges, write there some motivation quotes, and enjoy to create pockets which you need. In this basic craft, you can use really everything what you have at home, like this brown packaging tape. It's perfect to have. I think uh, many homes they do have some kind of a wrapping and packaging material. So here you can see how easy it is to use it in your craft. And don't forget to use stuff what you have at home. Like here you will see the tag which I added to that pocket. I created from a box from chess game. uh, because I really like that box, which was that packaging for that game. So don't forget to use what you have at home, and then just glue your creation on these little leftovers from ripping the pages apart, And then you can add your doodling. As you can see here, I am doodling a lot instead of sewing on my sewing machine. So I do remember that I did journal where I did wrote quotes all around of these pockets. So that's another thing you can add in your journals. This doodling I have added to all envelopes, I believe, because I think that it's really beautiful decoration. And very next thing what you can add to your journals are paper doilies. I am personally not using them often, but here and there, especially in a project like this, I do believe these paper doilies are just amazing to add. They do add that texture and some interest. And if you do have book pages with or books with vintage images, that is another thing you can definitely add to your journals, especially if you are in a vintage style of journals. Obviously, you don't have to create vintage style of journal, but if you like them, books with images like old ephemera images, they are perfect addition. Another thing you can add to your journals and with it add some interest in your pages are tags. You can buy new tags, like you can see the tag which I just added in there, or you can save the tags from, shopping the clothes or shopping the, I don't know, maybe bedding. They do have also sometimes beautiful tags. So just save things from your shopping. And if you are like me and you like tabs, uh, on the edges of your journal pages, you can just create them with your scissors. It's perfect relaxation, and you can create the most unique shapes of your tags or tabs. To cover book pages you don't like or text you don't like in your journal, just grab some picture from another book and create the pocket using that book page with picture. As you can see me here, I'm gonna be creating pocket from this beautiful picture and glue it down using double-sided tape. And the very next perfect material for journals, for junk journals, are bags, food bags or bags you can have at home. As you can see here, I do have bags which has one side from clear acetate piece, and they are amazing in my journals actually, because they do give me a really interesting look. And I did use the double-sided tape to glue that back in between two of those leftovers from ripping of those book pages. It was very easy to add it there, and I love that look of that uh, food bag in my journal. Another thing you can add, as I said before, are postcards, old postcards. And here I added that postcard just with brown tape, and I have created interesting flap. That's another thing you can do in your journals, to do all kind of flip and flaps to add it some interest. And I don't like too much colorful backgrounds. And here on this image, which I added into that journal, is very colorful background. So I chose one envelope, which I will be using to cover that colorful background. And I will use again double-sided tape to glue that envelope inside. I'm gonna be adding that double-sided tape just on the top and bottom of that image. And with that, I will actually create two pockets. One straight away behind that image, it will be side-loaded pocket, and one will be the envelope itself. That will be top-loaded pocket. Yeah, you saw that just right now. And to create actually that pocket, I'm gonna add here pieces of brown tape just to seal that bottom of that, or the side of that envelope. Very next thing what you can add to your journal are book pages from another book. They maybe have some interesting image, and yet again here I do have too much colorful background, so I decided to cover it with another bucket. This time I'm gonna be using brown paper bag, and I'm gonna glue it there with double-sided tape. The paperback is slightly smaller, so but it's longer than the book page, which I added inside. So the offcut from that paperback, I'm gonna be using to cover the sides, the bottom and top around that paperback. I hope it does make sense what I did, and decorate my pages and also flaps of the envelopes which I added into this journal. I've been looking in my books in kids encyclopedias actually for some interesting images, and I have found these cute little old airplanes, and I think they do make amazing decoration in journals. So I did fascicate them out, and one image I'm gonna be using as decoration on envelope flap, and the other template, sorry, other airplane, I'm gonna be using actually as a flap. I'm gonna cover that airplane with packaging, clear packaging tape, and use that tape for gluing that airplane on the edge of book page. Here you can see how I am gluing it over the edge of that book page. I am also covering that airplane from the bottom with packaging tape. And when I am talking about packaging tape, I do have for you one technique which is quite old, and it's used for transferring images. You can use clear packaging tape to cover some printed image with it. Here is very important to overlap each strip of that packaging tape with a new strip. So you will seal that image all over, and there will be not space between those strips you just sealed. Just make sure that you will overlap always those packaging tapes a little bit, and with that you will make sure that your image will stay in one piece. I will show you later in this video where there is a small spot where I didn't overlap those packaging tapes properly, and the image got apart a little bit, slightly. This process is, it doesn't take too much time. It does take a little bit, especially uh, when you will need to take that first layer. It sometimes can take a time because if you will have book like I had, those pages are coated with some kind of, I'm not sure what is it, but it was really resistant of that water. So it took a little bit to take off the first coat of that paper. But then next, all those next coats of the paper, they went quite nicely down. And with this technique, you will end up with beautiful, transparent, very transparent uh, sheet of that packaging tape, or here you can see on that acetate kind of ish, with beautiful image, depends on the image you will choose to have there. So with this technique you will end up with this beautiful image, and you can use that for creating your pocket. Here you can see there was small bit where I didn't overlap those strips of packaging tape, and that was kind of like the spot where my image got starting for falling apart. So I took my scissors, and because there was that little spot where the image started falling apart, I chose that spot for cutting the image on two pieces, and I actually used both of these pieces to create pockets in my journal. I did use just double-sided tape, and I did glue it on the book pages in my journal. Just remember, sometimes the side where from you took the paper off can be a little bit sticky. To cover it, it's perfect for to covering it. It's perfect to use antiseptic powder. And here I do have my altered book block. As you can see, it got much thicker. The spine a little bit broke down, and I will need to reinforce it just to prevent that book block from pulling apart. And right now, because the original book cover, it's not enough now. It's small. I'm gonna rip it on 3 pieces. I already glued book pages. These first book pages and last book pages, I glued them together with the covers. So I will have 3 pieces now. First, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna reinforce and cover the spine. Make it nice, smooth, one piece, which will hold together. And for that, I'm gonna be using this cheesecloth and one of those book pages which I ripped off. First, I'm gonna place piece of book page over that spine. I'm gonna be using PVA glue. And now on this one, I'm gonna glue the cheesecloth. I do have here a big piece of cheesecloth which will cover full book from the side to side. I do have it glued. Now I'm gonna let it dry. As you can see, it's same leg like as my book. It's slightly bigger on these sides, here and here. I'm gonna let this dry and I'm gonna work on the covers and on the spine. Here you can see me to glue on the big pile book pages which I previously ripped off from the book block. These book pages will reinforce front and then back cover, which I'm gonna be using to create new book cover for this junk journal. I decided to go with this technique because I do have quite a lot of these book pages which I ripped off, and I think with this technique, layering them uh, one on another one, I will create a really very beautiful effect on the edges of the cover, and I will get the thickness I need to create that cover. What I am taking care of, it's the side where which will be close to the spine. I'm keeping clear from edges of those book pages. I'm trying to keep it straight with no any overlapping book pages. I do have front and back cover in many layers, so it now has a really beautiful thickness. Maybe my camera, it doesn't take it, but it's really nice and thick and it's quite strong, both of these. I'm gonna be working on the spine for that book. I'm gonna reinforce it with cheesecloth. Just taking that book page, adding the glue, and glue it to the cheesecloth, and I'm gonna fussy cut out just exactly this shape. So I do have a reinforced piece of book page with that cheesecloth. I'm gonna add the glue on this back of that original spine of the book. Place it kinda in the middle. Now I'm gonna add the glue, but this time it will be PVA glue on the side. So here I am applying PVA glue, and I will add on that PVA glue lace. Oops. Gonna grab the lace and place it right here and let this dry. You can use hot glue gun, but hot glue gun, it's mostly very thick, applying very thick layer of the very hard glue, so that's why I'm using PVA, because for flexibility of spine it's much better. And I'm gonna let this dry. One more here. I do have this nearly dry. I did use here sewing machine. I couldn't help. I wanted to have zigzag stitching here on the sides, but unfortunately my hands are quite painful because it's a little bit cold. So my carpal tunnels don't get that way that I will stitch it by hand, that zigzag kind of ish zigzag stitching. Otherwise I will do it by hand. So here I did use sewing machine on these two sides, but that's rest. That's all I used from machines and extra tools. And I think it will look really cute here on the spine. I will also add bookmarks probably. I do have here this cute ribbon, and this is all rest I have, and I think it will be perfect as a bookmark because it's same size as my book. So I'm gonna add PVA glue on one end and glue it to the spine of my book and let this dry. Like this. And maybe I can add one more. And I think this red suede will be perfect. Two bookmarks, it's kind of what I saw in a beautiful journal I've got now. It's made by Jose Naranja. It's amazing artwork. Look at this. It's so gorgeous. Journal full of amazing images. I can't express enough how amazing this book is. I am kind of studying now all those drawings and all the pages layouts and everything I can to learn from this little book because it's full of art. I love this style of journaling, junk journaling or journaling, because it's so creative. Most of these images, what you can see that Jose did draw himself. He just added here and there maybe postmarks and here and there washi tapes, like here postmarks and this washi tape and postmarks. But these images he did draw himself, and that's just amazing art. So that's what I've got from his website, and it's a really beautiful book of art. It's amazing, really. And I've been, oh yeah, and he does use two bookmarks in his journal, and I think it's perfect because I can actually bookmark more things, you know, in that book. It's really awesome. If you didn't see his art yet, I do follow Jose Naranja on Instagram, and I will put link down below for his website, where from I've got this little journal. I had to save money for that, but it worth every penny, really, because it's just such an amazing art. I do have it for quite some time. I did share with my Patreons that I bought this book and that I am so excited of it. So now I am, you know, flipping through to that book often just to get some inspiration and try my own journaling. And I really love it. So I do have two little bookmarks. I'm gonna let this dry. Here I do have that front and back cover, and for that I'm gonna grab one piece of that heavy cardstock and I will cut it in the size which will fit here. So I do have piece which can fit right here. Now I can also cut the corners in some beautiful size like this. And now when I do have some shape, I can create from this shape actually frame. For that I'm gonna grab my ruler and have that ruler like my measurement of the thickness of the frame. I'm gonna place it to the sides. Now this inside, I'm gonna cut off this piece. I'm gonna take my knife and just very simple cutting. It's good if you have cutting mat because you will don't mess up with your knife if you do have cutting mat. I do often cut on that glass and then my knife is going down very fast way. And I do have my decorative frame and I'm gonna keep this on the top because I actually like that A on there. So I have cut it this slightly smaller so I can fit between this and between book teeth. I do have these offcuts and I think I can actually use them here. To decorate the frame. I do have glued all those pieces on my frame and this could be placed here. I do have also metal label which I would like to place somewhere and I'm thinking to place it here. And I do have these beautiful brads which I would like to place in those corners. So I'm gonna first make placement of these brads. I do have fixed those brads in those corners and I also added foam double-sided tape on this side of that frame. Now I can place it on my book straight away, or if I want to have a little bit more decoration, I can grab maybe laces or maybe this cheesecloth which I used on that book block, and I can add cheesecloth from the bottom of that frame to add there a little bit more texture to make it more interesting. So when there it will be placed on that cover, it will be even more interesting to have a look. And I can place there another piece of material, maybe some acetate piece, and make it like a pocket, which I actually will do. I am always saving wrapping material like boxes and lids from the boxes because they are perfect as craft material, especially those acetate pieces. And that I'm gonna be using here. I'm gonna cut the piece which will fit under my frame, so I can cut it from this box. So I do have my acetate piece cut it in the size which will fit under my frame. Now from one side I'm gonna cover all four sides with double-sided tape. This side will get glued here. From other side I will cover only 3 sides. So with this side, I'm gonna glue it here. And from this side, I'm gonna cover just 1, 2, 3 sides with double-sided tape. And that will make a side pocket. Like this. Now first, I'm gonna take off the sides with 4 double-sided tapes and glue it to my frame. And here, because I do have that A here and I want to keep it as an A, I don't want to place it upside down, I need to pay attention where there are only 3 sides with double-sided tape. I want to have entry to that pocket from this side. So the side without the tape, 1, 2, 3, side without the tape will be here. And that way I will glue it to my frame. To keep an eye on letter A and to keep an eye on entry to my pocket. And here usually I will use my sewing machine and add there all kind of sewing. Well, I said I will try to do it with no extra tools. So I'm gonna continue with no extra tools, just something what we possibly could have at home. Now I do have these 3 sides covered with that double-sided tape, and I can place it right here. I'm gonna have a look if I'm kind of ish in the middle. Hopefully I am. So we do have interesting picture inside. I do have that number 1 visible here, which I really like. I do have book thief here. Here I can add something. Now for back cover, I can use all these offcuts and create some beautiful decorative frame here. I do have prepared my pieces for creating back frame on that back cover. I forgot to show you how you can create your pieces. So I did cut strips for these sides here and here, and then I cut it for strips on the top and on the bottom to create nice and even frame once it's put together. With these cuts, you just need to take your strips, place them all together, nice and even, these and these. Place it together here in as much possible a 90 degrees corner. Then grab your scissors and cut from this point to this point. Hold it tightly and cut. Now to create same angle here, you're gonna just flip it this way. Put these corners to these corners, here and here, and cut. And cut. Obviously you need to watch these sides to match it all together. And then same you're gonna do on these long strips. Flip it this way, point this and this to that corner and this corner. Keep the sides nice and even and cut and cut. Once you do have all these points cutted, then you can put the frame together like this. I do have front and back cover prepared, and for this next part I'm gonna be using hot glue gun and that glue, and I'm gonna glue this same lace which I used for spine. I'm gonna use here on the edges, and I will add the lace all around of the front and all around of the back cover. I can use here hot glue because these parts will be not bended in the purpose of that book. They will be nice and strong. So on these two parts, the hot glue, which is drying hard, it's not a mistake. It's not any kind of issue, and it will don't affect the book like if I will use it here where I need to have the spine a little bit flexible. So here I can use hot glue. I'm gonna grab my lace and glue it with those strips peeking out from the edges. Something like this. I do have these cuties now, and I think I'm ready to put it all together. First, I'm gonna glue the spine over the spine. I'm gonna put the glue just here and here. I'm gonna be using PVA glue for that. And place the spine here. I'm gonna hold the spine in the middle of that book block and hold it here. Then I can add the glue on that opposite side and glue it here. Like this. Now I didn't glue this cheesecloth here on that back side, so I'm gonna start here with the back cover. I'm gonna put glue on all that last paper in my book block, and it's good to protect your book block underneath with some protective material. You can use baking paper, you can use wax, and place it between your book block and the last page. Now I can place the cheesecloth on it, flat it down, and I'm gonna continue here. So now I can cut off the rest of that cheesecloth here, like this. I can put glue on my back cover and glue it right there. I'm gonna be using PVA glue here and place my back cover right here. And I'm gonna try to flip it this way when it doesn't have any issue to flip it this way. I know I am on the right spot, so I can place it back. I can put back my cover and flip it over, and now I'm gonna be working on this front cover. Here I'm gonna use one of the envelopes which I used inside, and I'm gonna glue it together with this first and glue over it my cheesecloth. And glue it here. I'm gonna keep it this way. Now I can put the glue here on this part. So now I can place this one right there. I'm gonna check from inside if I am able to open it, which I am. So I'm gonna let this dry before I will do last additional cutting of the cheesecloth and some few more decorations. And this is how your book can look with just minimum decoration. I placed in this frame one card which I made not long time ago. It's made from playing cards, and I did use stickers from my sticker book. And it's kind of amazing to create something, from those sticker books. So I just place it here in that window. But I do have that pocket. So I do have these little small envelopes, and they can totally be placed inside, and they can hold some notes. I'm gonna keep this one here because I actually like the look of all that together. This system holds a little label, or I did use one of these washi tapes, and I glued that travel word on a piece of cardstock, and it's perfect in this label here. This is how the spine looks like. This is the back side. I still can put so many other stuff here. This is just to show you how you can create quite easy way some beautiful journal. Here inside I did cut off the leftover of the cheesecloth, and I used this little lace to decorate that spot between envelope and the end of the book cover. And as you can see, the book cover, it's quite nice and thick now. Because I do love metal embellishments, and I was thinking to use eyelets or something more interesting, but I said that I will try to use only minimum tools. So I was thinking, what is the minimum tool what maybe people have at home? So I use this stapler. I know it's not often that people have stapler at home, but maybe. And I did add 2 staples here and 2 here. First of all, it's holding nicely the cover with the envelope, and it's adding another interest into my book cover. And I love those little artistic touches. And as I said, I added really minimum things, minimum things in this book, but I do love the look of this book. I did make from brown card or brown paper these little tabs. They are open for writing down the notes for new owner. And this book has really huge potential. It does have lots of space for storing things, ephemeras. It does have so many pockets. It does have lots of writing spots, because these envelopes can be used as writing spot. These book pages, they do have lots of space. We do have space also for another pockets, which can be created by using decorative paper or maybe some paper bags and glue it here. So this book still has a lot of space for creating. I did add few stickers because I felt like it will be just really beautiful touch to have those few stickers here and there, like a decoration. There are these vintage beautiful postcards as a flaps, decorative flaps. So this book is created from book, or this journal is created from book, envelopes, cards, and the baking paper, and some old postcards, and it does look really amazing. I love how everything flows nicely and work together, and I really love how it looks like very nature. And even these little creation where you can use wrapping tape, packaging tape, and create your unique art from book pages. I think you can really enjoy these small artistic techniques, which are amazing. More stuff, more dies, more embossing folders, and more of these kind of like fancy tools I had, less creative I became. I hope you did enjoy this tutorial, how you can create beautiful book from with minimum tools, not from minimum, but with minimum tools, and how beautiful it can be and interesting it can be flip through of the creation like this. I hope you will try, and I hope you will enjoy to create it. Maybe your first junk journal, because it is lots of fun. You can find out so many new techniques and so many things you can create from minimum material. So this is my sharing for today. Thank you so much for stopping by today and spending your time with me. I wish you all a beautiful day. Take care of yourself, and I will come back soon. Bye.